boy, it is hot out there. Almost as hot as these takes you're about to hear. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another Glacial Geek video. I'm Phil, the Glacial Geek, and I am coming to you here from the Glacial Geek lair, wherever. I still haven't really decided on a name for what I'm going to name this place, but it's coming together. As you can see, I've still got my models up on the wall there, which is nice to finally see them up there. But today I'm going to come to you with a topic that is, I think, a very hot button topic that people are talking about, and it's basically impossible to be a fan of Warhammer and not hear about it, and that's balance in this game that we're playing together. And the fact is that right now, 10th edition is still in its teething stage. It's still very new. It's still coming out. We haven't had a lot of major changes to the rules that were there on day one. The only changes being really to fix some minor tweaks with wording, to some minor points differences and things like that to try to adjust and adapt to some of the bigger problems that had occurred. But they haven't done a balanced data slate. They haven't really done a points balance. Nothing has really changed in the game since it's come out, and it's caused a lot of people to be a little bit upset because of disparity between some of the armies. Like, you have something like Leagues of Votann, which are really hurting, Adeptus Mechanicus are really hurting. And then you have other ones like Genestealer Cult, and you have ones like the Eldari, who are doing very well, and it's like 70 to like 30%, difference that you have in win rates in tournaments and the such. So it's making a lot of people upset about the difference in the win rates and everything that's going on with that. And there's people that want GW to come in and do something, and they've got questions. It's like, what does raising the points on towering do to fix knights? And it's, the meme is, the funny thing is it doesn't. That's the big joke. But the fact is right now that GW isn't going to do anything until they hit their the specified things that they said they were going to do, because they came out with 10th edition and they said they plan to every other quarter do a points balance and every other quarter do a balanced data slate. So the fact is they don't want to come in and start making changes outside of the schedule that they put down and put forth there, because that's what they promised. Because back in 9th edition, there was a lot of changes that were going on, a lot of points balances, a lot of changes to the rules. And as much as people enjoyed the fact that they were trying to make this balance, I think they were trying to figure out find that balance act of balance. Because there were an equal number of people that were very upset with all the changes that were going on in the game. That, I bought this book and suddenly 2 days later it's no longer usable. And it's no longer the way it is. What's the deal? I can't keep up with all of these rules changes. It just becomes too complicated for me to have to keep, updating all this different stuff. So you have, on the one hand, a game that is asking, a bunch of people who are asking for balance changes to the game to make it a bit more on an even keel. And you have a lot of people that are asking you not to keep making vast changes to this all the time, rapid fire, so it gives people a chance to get in and play the game. So how do you find that balance? And GW is trying. They're trying to figure out what they're going to do with that. I think they're going to stick with their guns right now with the way that they had set out their plan on how to do the balances and see how that works. There's a rising chorus of people that want them to do something now. And, there's questions that you could have whether it would have made sense to do an initial balance once it came right out the gate to kind of fix things once it got into the hands of the public, and then go into your system that you had set forth, or try to set this up. We're also in index stage where things are vastly going to change once the codexes start coming out. And how does this all equal out? So the question that I have on my mind, that I see all this, and I see the anger online, and I see the people hoping for changes, people not wanting changes and expecting changes and preemptively getting mad about changes, is what does Imbalance actually do to the game? And what does it do for the state of the game? Now, for me personally, it's never going to stop me from playing the game. Honestly, if I was playing this game at the end of 7th edition, I will certainly play through the index level of 10th edition. This game has been in far worse states, and it's been in far worse metas than it is currently. And to me, I'm not going to stop playing. And I think that there are a vast majority of Warhammer players that are also not going to stop playing because of an imbalance or a perceived imbalance. Because most of the games that they're going to be playing are going to be against friends or people that they know. And if that person keeps bringing 3 Wraith Knights to the table every week, eventually they're going to tell them, stop. Stop doing that, and there will be a balance that's going to be achieved in their gaming state where people will understand that what's going on is not fun for everyone, and at the end of the day, when everyone's having fun, that's when things really happen, especially in your friendly local gaming store or in a gaming club, or in your basement or in your garage or on your kitchen table. In those kind of game situations, a meta detente of your own is going to be established just because you want to keep playing, because it's a game that's fun. And honestly, the mechanics of 10th edition are a lot of fun. Right now, it's a lot easier to kind of get into the game and play it, which is, I think, one of the aims that GW wanted with this edition, because it's very initial user friendly. So they're trying to get a lot of people in with a lot of the hype, especially with Space Marine 2 coming out. All of these different things that they've been pushing a lot of to try to make it Henry Cavill doing his thing. And it's created a situation where they want to jump on that and get the initial user in, because that's how they operate as a gaming company, and that's how they make money. Because I still have land speeders that I have from like 2nd edition that can still be used, but someone just getting into the game, if they want a land speeder, they have to buy it. So to them, getting new players, getting new blood, getting fresh people to get into the game, to pick up a new army, to pick up whatever it is, those initial starting people are going to be the lion's share of where their money is going to be coming from. And that's where their emphasis is going to be in all of their products. That's why you have a lot of these get starting sets that they have. That's why a lot of their starter sets, they have the different tiers for it to see what people want to get into. It's all designed for new players. And honestly, an imbalance in the game is not going to affect new players. Because let's be honest, the first time that you learn to play the game, you are not going to be playing against someone with 3 Wraith Knights. Plain and simple. Unless that person's a jerk and wants to keep you out of the game, in which case they're the problem, not GW. And they would have taken whatever it is to try to just like beat some, baby seals over the head. And that's what they would have done. So imbalances in the game aren't going to affect new players, because new players are just getting into it. They're just learning the game. And if they lose a couple games, that's not going to keep them from wanting to play, because everything's fresh and new and exciting. So they're not going to be stopping playing if it's a new player. The mechanics are in a place right now that's very accessible to players, and it's very accessible to new players to learn the game. Now with all of the get starting sets, the fact that they have these combat patrol system that's involved where you can literally buy 1 box of models and be able to play the game against someone else with their 1 box of models is game changing. And I think that's why it's shown to be a very, very positive thing for new players trying to get into the game right now. This is the way forward for it. And I think that the imbalance that's in the meta right now is not going to stop them from playing. So if it's not going to stop new players from playing, who is it going to stop from playing? Who is it going to upset the game system? Well, I've already said that people who are playing with their friends, who are playing at local clubs or playing at local game stores or playing in their house, in their basement, in their kitchen, in their garage, wherever it might be, they're also not going to stop playing because of a balance issue, because they're going to have, like I said, they're going to find their detente, they're going to find their level, they're going to keep the 3 Wraith Knights off the table. Where you're going to see 3 Wraith Knights on the table is going to be at a tournament situation. So either RTTs at local stores, or at big GTs at major events. I think World Team Championships is going on right now. I'm sure there are plenty of Wraith Knights over there that are going to be out there on the tables showing their business. But in those situations, you're probably not going to if you were going to go to these tournaments, if you were going to go to World Team Championships, you're probably not going to cancel your trip across to Europe because of an imbalance in the game. You might grumble about it a bit with your friends, but you're going to make sure someone on your team has 3 Wraith Knights or whatever it is. You're going to do something to make the change, and you're going to go to these events. Because most people that I know do not go to tournaments only to win. Most people go to tournaments because they want to enjoy tournaments. They really like coming up with a list. They really like playing hard-nosed games. They like seeing all of their friends that they see on the circuit that they get to see again and hang out for a weekend of just throwing dice and playing with cool painted models. That's the majority of tournament players that I've come across. That's the majority of tournament players that I know. That's what I go to tournaments for. And at the end of the day, you try hard. You really want to win. You're going to do your best to win. You're going to bring a really good list. You're going to do your best. You're going to play to the rules, and you're going to do whatever you can to try to outplay your opponent and win the games. But at the end of the day, you don't go to the tournaments just to win. You go to the tournaments for everything else that's involved in those tournaments, and then try your best to win. So in that case, an imbalance in the meta is not going to keep someone from going, because it doesn't matter how balanced the meta is, your friend is still going to that tournament. And you're still going to laugh and have good times at lunch. You're still going to do whatever when you're playing your game with everyone else there. And the fact is, you're not going to only play Eldar at these events. You're not going to only play Genestealer Cult at these events. There may be a preponderance of them because of the fact that when you have these imbalances in like the meta, it becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy that just feeds on itself, because more and more players that are trying to do the best that they can might bring the top performing armies because it gives them that competitive edge. So you're going to see more Eldar, you're going to see more Genestealer Cult, and therefore they're going to have more wins in their column because of the fact that there are so many, there's a majority of them going. So if you really think that you have a chance to win the tournament, you're probably not going to bring your Votann army, you're probably going to bring your Eldar army. So the people who are really chasing the meta, the ones that are really trying to win the games, that are trying to do their best there, yeah, they're going to bring the top armies. They're going to try their best with that. But most of the people that go to tournaments are not, and if they're going with just like the army that they really wanted to play, that they've, collected for years and they've really painted up to a beautiful standard, odds are that they didn't choose that army because it was a top performing meta army, and they're not going to a tournament simply to win. And this is not going to stop them from going to it. So now you don't have the people who are playing at home with their friends are not going to stop because of an imbalance. New players are not going to stop playing because they don't know any better, and they're not the ones that are going to be facing the consequences of this imbalance. And tournament players are probably not going to stop going to tournaments because they don't go to tournaments just to win. They go to tournaments for everything else in the tournament. And some people will take it as a challenge to try to beat these armies. So if they're not stopping playing, then who's stopping playing because of this? And at the end of the day, there's very few people, I think, that is really going to stop people from playing the game. Now, don't get me wrong, this does not mean that it shouldn't be addressed, that it shouldn't be adjusted. And in a few weeks in September, at some point, GW has said that they're kind of going to come out with a points adjustment that will hopefully, account for some of the problems that you see here. But at the end of the day, it's not stopping people from playing. So maybe we do take a chance with this new system that they're trying in 10th edition, where we don't just have rapid fire FAQs, knee-jerk reactions to things that have changed in the tournament scene, taking one tournament as just rote that this is what's going on. Maybe we allow them to get a whole bunch of data points and see a bunch of the complaints and see what's being done. Have these people, because they're running their own tournaments anyway, and they're going to a bunch of tournaments. So they're going to be at these places. They're going to see what's happening. They're going to see what's on the table. And they've been going out there to see what happens with the game. So maybe give them more chances to see what's happening, kind of get these data points, and come up with a fix that will hopefully balance things, as opposed to just, nerf Eldar into the ground, or just bring Votann to the 70% win phase. And that's what I think they're looking to do with their new system that they've got here. So they're going to try it with points come September, come December, January, at the end of that quarter. They're going to put out a balanced status slate to try to change some of the rules that become overly oppressive, or fix some of the loopholes that just weren't really intended, and then see how it goes from there. We're going to start seeing codexes probably coming out sooner than later. And so by the time that the January-December change happens, things might be in a different place too. So at this point, I think that probably the changes that they've made were necessary, and I think that they're taking a more standoffish sense with this to avoid knee-jerk reactions, because knee-jerk reactions upset people. People are understandably upset the fact that a bunch of the Space Marine stuff is being discontinued, and I know it's being discontinued because they're probably going to get replacements that are Primaris-sized. All the units that they left in there, like the Devastator squads and the Vanguard veterans, probably aren't going to be replaced by Primaris right now. But I imagine that the reveals that they probably expected to show with Agram would have answered all of the questions that people have, like why is Jenkins and the Scouts no longer available? You know, why are my Assault Marines no longer available? Why are my, you know, all these different things that they got discontinued, like the Dreadnoughts being changed around and stuff like that. I mean, there's what, 3 Primaris types of Dreadnoughts now out that are available: Brutalis, the Ballistus, and the Redemptor. You know, so they are putting out more stuff with the Space Marines there. But you know, it's understandable that people are like, well, you started the game, you put them in the index, you kind of expected them to be there, you know, and then you pulled the rug out right away from underneath us. I think they want to try to keep that kind of feel bad as minimal as possible. So at this point, you know, they have their system in place. They've got the schedule that they're going with. So if you really want to go out and buy 3 Wraith Knights, you got till September till their points are probably going to increase. And you know that that's what's going to happen. So when it does happen, it's not as much of a feel bad. You made your purchases with that understanding. Same thing with the rules changes in the data slates. You got until December or, you know, December, January, till they've probably going to change the rules to the Desolation Marines, because, you know, they're causing problems too. You know, and you're going to have those changes that are going to come in those kind of balances, and it will change. But it's in a predicted situation. So if you go out and buy 30 Desolation Marines, or you go out and buy 3 Wraith Knights, you do it with the understanding that changes are coming in September with points, and then in January, December with a balanced data slate. So you find that middle ground between leaving people feeling bad about these changes that are coming rapid fire and, you know, just nerfing their new purchases. And you also keep an eye on trying to find a balance with the game in a way that's not just knee-jerky and reacty, and hopefully kind of find some parity if you give it enough time and thought. So those are my thoughts on it. It's like, yes, we definitely will need some changes to create more balance. Do I think it's affecting actual players out there playing the game? I don't. I think most of the people that are most loud about it haven't played since 5th edition, and are also just, they weren't going to play 10th edition no matter how balanced it was, if I'm being honest. That seems to be the path that I've seen there. It's like, I haven't played since 5th edition, I'm glad I don't. And it's like, okay, well, you know, you're allowed to have your opinion, but I'm not sure why I should care about it. So, that's what I think it is, and let me know if you think it should be any different, if you think they should be coming out with a weekly FAQ to the rules change. Do you think that they should just, you know, make everything Eldari 500% more expensive so you can only bring 1 Wraith Knight and that's your entire army? What do you think? Like, how would you do it? Because at the end of the day, I think every single wargamer knows how to balance the game in their very hearts, which is make their army very, very good so that they feel good going to the tournaments. And at the end of the day, it's a balanced army if I can win with it, as long as I'm not just destroying my opponent in one turn, then it's a balanced army. And whereas everyone who loses to them over and over again might have a different opinion, even if they were close games, might still have a different opinion. So let's see what we can do. 9th edition actually left me with some hope as to GW's ability to try to find some balance. I like the idea that they're giving it some thought and not just making knee-jerk reactions, and I think that they are trying to find that happy medium between doing nothing like they used to and sending out rapid-fire FAQs every week that just changes the game that no one can keep up with. So that's my opinion. That's what I think, and let me know if you agree down in the comments below. So I hope you guys have all enjoyed this. I certainly have. I've been Phil, the Glacial Geek, as always, and until next time, stay safe and have fun.